If you've ever felt like you've paid too much for flights, this video is for you. Imagine turning a $900 ticket to a $100 deal, or flying business class for just a few $100s, all using these strategies I've honed over the years. In this video, I'm sharing 9 easy tactics to guarantee you'll never pay full price again, plus the exact tricks to enjoy luxury travel at a fraction of the cost. But first, before we hunt for deals, you need to have a plan and set your guardrails, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That means defining 3 simple parts about your trip. First, your travel window. Do you have fixed dates you need to travel or return by? Or are you flexible and price is more of a factor? Define this range of dates and ignore everything else. For example, I have a wedding to attend in late May, so my search is only around a few days. On the other hand, I have an international trip coming up later this year where the dates span a few months. Second, choose your locations. Know your home airport or airports and the places you want to travel to. For example, both Haneda and Narita work when you're traveling to Tokyo. It's not always just one airport. This also affects when you should prepare. Flying domestic, going, or previously Scott's cheap flights says that you should prepare 1 to 3 months in advance, whereas flying international would be between 2 to 8 months in advance for the sweet spot. Third, set your price expectations. Spend a few minutes now checking the fares so you know what a good deal is, and set a cap where you'd be happy to pay anything under. Because once you've locked these 3 things in, you can recognize a good deal right away and lock it in with no hesitation. But of course, finding these deals is the hard part, which is why tip number 2 is knowing how to use the right tools to discover deals. And we'll do that in 2 ways. First, passive monitoring using those guardrails we set so bargains actually come to you. Then we'll go into active searching where you can uncover opportunities most people miss. Starting with passive monitoring, these are tools like Going, which lets you choose your origin, some preferences, and then alert you when there are deals. Simple as that. Other good ones are Daily Drop Pro, Jack's Flight Club, or even YVR deals, which I've been monitoring for years now. Like flying Vancouver to Hong Kong for just $528 round trip, when typically it goes for 2 to 3 times the cost. You can even use Google Flights, put in your search, and then press the track flights toggle to get notified when prices are changing, going up or down. Now onto active searching, and that's where the Google Flights toolset is more powerful than you think. Since you know your date range from tip number 1, you can pull up the grid view to compare prices when combining different departure and return dates. For example, a flight from Seattle to Tokyo might cost you over $1,000 on the original date, but the grid view shows that just shifting by a couple of days could knock off $200 off that price. If your dates are flexible but you know about how long you want to travel for, try a calendar view. It's interesting here where a trip of 6 days is actually more expensive than for 7 days, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays save even more. These tools work with filters too. Say you only want to fly the nicer ANA and Japan Airlines. You can set that up and then have it reflected on these tools. Now, if your locations are flexible, you can expand even further. Try plugging in multiple airports or city areas, like searching from Seattle and Vancouver to both Tokyo area and the Osaka area. With even more flexibility, you can try using the Google Explore feature. Putting in your origin city and some rough travel dates will show you a global view of all the cheapest flights from your origin. You can even narrow down to regions like Asia, which will show you that flying to Tokyo and Manila is much cheaper than flying to, say, Hong Kong. With passive monitoring feeding you deals, and understanding powerful tools like Google Flights helping you uncover missed opportunities, you have everything you need to spot deals fast. And again, since you've set your travel guardrails, when a match comes up, you can book with confidence and no hesitation. Now, most of what we've talked about is finding deals on places like Google, which aggregates across airlines and third-party sites. And typically, I would recommend booking direct with the airlines. It's simpler and easier to handle if there's any changes or cancellations. But in some cases, going through third-party sites can actually save you much more. Let me explain. In the first category of websites, think your Expedia, Booking.com, and Priceline, which typically show prices that are the same, if not cheaper, than when booking direct with the airlines, especially when it comes to flash sales or limited time promotions. I've personally booked through these sites before, like Booking.com or Expedia, with no issues, but it's always good to double check that fine print, like with change policies, before you click confirm. But the real value here is what you can stack on top of those savings. For example, the Capital One offers portal may give you 5 to 10% back when booking through some of those sites. And if you go through portals like Rakuten, booking on sites like Expedia and Priceline, the trade-off is yours to weigh, but sometimes between the savings you get and the additional cash back on top can really tip the scales. The next category, travel portals from credit card issuers themselves, like Chase Travel, American Express Travel, or the Capital One Travel Portal. Most of these major issuers have their own travel portals, each with their own unique take you can use to your advantage. Chase Travel can be amazing if you have a lot of Chase points. For example, if you have the Sapphire Reserve, you can get 50% more value for each of your points when redeeming through their portal. So 20,000 points would be $300 in value, or 1.5 cents per point. Amex Travel offers special deals with certain airlines, like with the International Airlines program, which could be amazing when booking premium economy or higher. I've personally used this to save over $800 per ticket across 3 tickets to fly Singapore Airlines business class later this year. Or Capital One Travel, modern and user-friendly with price prediction tools and automatic credit for fare drops up to $50 per ticket up to 10 days after, something I've personally got credit back for. Merely using these portals can give you elevated rewards too. All 3 programs have cards giving you 5 times points when booking flights through them, some even having no annual fees. On the Chase side, stacking with a card like the Sapphire Reserve, you can earn those 5 times points, redeem at 1.5 cents per point, which is like 7.5% back in value for all those bookings. So yes, third-party sites aren't always ideal, but with the right ones and the right cards and enough savings, it can absolutely be worth it. But sometimes the best savings don't come from where you book, but where you're flying from and flying to. That's where repositioning flights come in, which is where you fly to another airport first before you fly to your main destination. Whether you're already in a smaller airport and need to reposition, or even if you're already in a major hub. Say I want to fly to Sydney, Australia. The difference between flying from Vancouver versus flying from Seattle is almost $300. For a whole family, that could be over $1,000 of savings for just a 3-hour drive down. What's wild is that Seattle flight actually routes back through Vancouver before going over to Sydney. So you'd expect a direct flight from Vancouver to be cheaper, but no. It all comes down to these complicated rules behind pricing. One factor is where the flight is originating and ending, which is the case here, or for different airports. Some, like London Heathrow, charges some of the highest fees in the world, which could make the fares more expensive. The same idea goes for your destination. Look at more than just one airport. Check surrounding airports in the region, especially when you're going to Europe where it's so dense. Flying to Amsterdam from San Francisco, direct would cost $926, but heading to Barcelona first costs $429, and separately booking to Amsterdam costs about $200, saving you $300 per ticket. Yes, it's additional transfer, but for some, that savings could be worth it. Or that detour lets you check off another city off your bucket list and save money, even better. And remember, you can mix and match these cities, SFO to Barcelona, then Amsterdam back home. Craft a trip that fits your budget and travel goals. So before you lock in any ticket, tweak your start and end points a bit. That little shift could mean huge savings. And whenever you do find a great deal, just lock it in and think later, because in most cases, you have time to reconsider. And that's tip number 5, the 24-hour reservation rule. It says here that any airline who is flying to or from the US must either hold your reservation at a certain price for 24 hours, or more commonly, allow your reservation to be canceled up to 24 hours after for a full refund without any penalty, as long as it's made more than 7 days before the scheduled departure date. That means if you stumble upon a great deal, you don't have to second guess yourself. Lock it in, then take your time to double check your plans, confirm your days off, or compare with other options, without the risk of losing your fare. But, and this part's important, it It only applies when you're booking direct with the airlines. So that's another point to consider, especially if these savings from third parties is substantial. Now, this next tip will guarantee you never pay full price for your flights again, or really anything, as long as you can use a credit card. Credit cards are not just for putting off payments until the next month. With the right ones, you could be earning 2, 3, or 5% back every time you spend. And this does not require annual fees or complicated setups, just good habits. Take the Citi Double Cash, giving you 2% back on everything with no limits. Spend $1,000, get $20 back in your pocket. A built-in discount on everything you buy, including flights. And why I like to say you should be getting 2% back on anything you can spend with a credit card. And I say at least because different cards may have higher rewards in certain categories, like getting 3% back on dining or 5% back when booking travel through the Chase Travel Portal. That's essentially getting 5% off every single travel purchase you make that way. And as long as you're practicing good credit card habits, like paying your bill in full and on time every single time, there is no downside. In fact, it improves your credit over time. And as an added bonus, many of these cards come with travel protections built in, like the Bilt MasterCard, which comes with trip delay and trip cancellation and interruption insurance if things go sideways. Now, while getting 2 to 5% back is already a great deal, this next tip is how you multiply those same rewards for even more value, especially when it comes to flights. Because some credit cards don't just give you cashback, they give you points. And even those that advertise cashback, like the Chase Freedom cards, will give you those rewards starting out with points, like getting 20,000 points as a welcome bonus after spending $500 in the first 3 months. You can then redeem that for $200 cashback at 1 cent per point, sure, but with the right setup and strategies, it could be worth way more. That's where transfer partners come in. With Chase, if you combine with a Chase Sapphire card, you can transfer all of your Chase points over to one of their travel partners. The same goes for other ecosystems like American Express MR points, Capital One Venture Miles, or Citi Thank You points. For example, all of these programs transfer one-to-one to Virgin Atlantic. And say you want to travel from San Francisco over to London. You could do that for as low as 15,000 miles and $82 in fees on a flight that would cost $547 one way. Doing the math, take the $547 cost minus the taxes and fees divided by the points needed gives us 3.1 cents per point, over 3 times the normal cashback rate. Bonus tip, keep an eye out for transfer bonuses. Like as of the time of this filming, Chase has a 25% bonus to Virgin Atlantic, bringing the points needed down to just 12,000 and bumping up the value to 3.9 cents per point. Taking a step back, that means if you initially pay for a $1,000 flight through the Chase Travel Portal, you'll earn 5,000 points, typically worth $50 or 5% back. Knowing better, you can instead use these points for redemptions like here to London at 3.9 cents per point, increasing the value to $195, almost 20% back on that initial purchase. For a more detailed walkthrough, check out this video here, but knowing that these paths exist already gives you an edge. But now let's say you don't have enough points yet, or that you don't even have the right credit cards. Tip number 8 is still a powerful move, and that's to purchase points direct from these airlines, which can still unlock huge savings compared to direct cash. And while these work for economy too, let me show you a case where you can fly in business class for a third of the price. Say LAX to Taipei. Check the prices and see that business class will cost you $2,675 one way. Ouch. But instead, you look to Aeroplan, where this route will fall into this bucket in their distance-based award chart at 75,000 points and some taxes and fees, in this case about $58. You can earn this through a credit card, like the Capital One Venture X, which will give you exactly that for its welcome bonus. And even though it costs $395 in annual fees, there's $400 worth of value every year to offset that. Or, and here's the part most people don't consider, is purchasing points, especially when there are sales. Aeroplan, for example, regularly runs promotions on bonus points when purchasing, sometimes going as high as 125% bonus, which will bring the cost down to just 1.14 cents per point. So 75,000 points will cost you $855, Add on the fees of $58, and your total is $913 for a flight that would cost almost $2,700. That's almost a third of the price for the exact same lie-flat seat. And unlike cash fares, award bookings are usually more flexible, like Aeroplan charging $100 to $150 when it comes to changes or cancellations. Bottom line, points are powerful, whether you have the right cards to earn them or you're buying them direct through promotions. Both can unlock luxury level travel at economy level prices. Tip number 9 to save when flying, and that's to look into airline credit cards, especially if you fly with a specific airline more than a couple times a year. Now, at first glance, these cards may not seem exciting. Some even have annual fees, but the value they bring can easily outweigh the cost if you use even just a few of the perks. With the rise of these basic economy fares, one strategy is just to book the cheapest fare and then use these cards to help offset any perks. Take United for example. Basic economy tickets will charge you $40 to even just bring a carry-on item. With a United Explorer card, which has a $0 intro annual fee, you get your first bag checked for free and your companions. These savings can add up over time to hundreds of dollars, far outweighing the cost of these cards. Not to mention other benefits like faster elite status, priority boarding, and with premium cards like the Delta Reserve, simply holding this card will bump you up in the list when it comes to upgrade priority. So if travel is something you enjoy, even just once or twice a year, these cards or credit cards in general can unlock a ton of value. Using the right cards and strategies is how I've been able to experience travel like these at a fraction of the cost. And to find the right cards to kickstart your journey, check out this video over here and I'll see you over there.